back. In this episode I'm going to look at the petrol tank. There's a Griso logo in the centre of it. It's not straight, it's not square, it's got to go. So I've just masked just around the thing, and I don't know if you can see, but it definitely is not square and or straight. So off it's got to come. So I'm just starting with some 400 wet and dry, just gently teasing it off. Let's see how we get on. So, rubbed off until it's nice and smooth, but I want to keep rubbing because I don't want to go through to the black. But I can now, relatively easy, pick out the offending logo. I've been rolling it down with 400 and 800 wet and dry, just to remove the outer ridges around here. But the paint is so thin. They do say you've got to be really careful not to take the colour off. Wow, that's just about impossible. So I'm going to have to get some touch up and just touch in these black areas, and then spray a bigger area with clear coat, and then rub it down wet and dry and polish it, see what it comes up like. I didn't like it anyway, so it had to go. Had to touch in a little bit of the base colour. I've got some clear coat. Now it's time to mess up the petrol tank. Right. It's all rubbed down. So I'm just going to build up some thin layers of clear coat. So before I do that, let's give it a quick wipe over with some cellulose thinners to degrease it, in fact. And initially I'm going to try and just spray the centre bit where the logo was, and build that up, and then I shall, when I've got 3 or 4 coats of that one, I'm going to start spreading it out a little bit, such that I can then sort of fade that in, and hopefully 1200 to 2000 wet and dry around the edge, buff it up. Most of it will be covered up anyway with some wrap, but I just want to make sure it's smooth and that the wrap is going on to a nice, hard, clear, shiny finish. It's not going to peel any paint off. Should I change my mind? Which I probably will. Telling myself discipline. The temptation, of course, is just whacking it on until you've got a nice big fat run in it. I intend to build this up probably 6 to 10 coats. I'll do for the first one. So I'm rubbing this down and continually touching in the black, because I just keep catching the colour. I have clear coated it, and despite my best attempts at discipline, yeah, it really cods that up. So I've rubbed all that down again and going through the black. So it's now a bit warmer, because Although generally the clear coat's going on quite well, I'm really surprised how long it takes to harden or even dry. So building up the layers is a bit tricky, and partly because, yeah, it's only sort of 10 to 14 degrees outside and not nearly as warm as that in my garage, despite the heater and leaving the door open to try and get some warm air. It's on the north side of the house, so it's cool in summer, bloody cold in winter and spring. So I'm doing this a bit at a time, and you'll see this sort of going off in the background and in some of the other videos, but I'm just going to try very, very slowly, no more than maybe a couple of coats a day, just build that level up. So I've got a bit more sanding to do, because when I put the black on, I've just got some slight sort of overspray ridges and stuff, so just a little bit of sanding, rubbing down with 2500 wet and dry. And I don't think I'm ever going to get this. I bought a little polishing kit, a drill attachment for a polishing kit. I don't think it's ever going to get to a quality where you'd go, yeah, no, that looks okay, don't bother wrapping it or whatever, but it's going to be wrapped. And I may have a gap down the middle here, so as long as it doesn't look too hideous, we'll see how we go. And if I end up taking it in somewhere to be sprayed, well, so be it. Stop. So, done another coat, had the heater on it, it was a nice thin coat, dried out, couple of small marks, so I've had the wet and dry on that again. I think it's just going to be a case of build it up, rub it down, build it up, rub it down, build it up, rub it down, until I've got a really nice smooth finish, and then I can polish it. Right, left this a couple of days to really harden off, and it's looking pretty good. We're getting there. There's a slight line, one sort of like, it looks like a little sag mark, but it's where I built up the paint and the clear coat, and there's another very, very faint line there. So I'm just going to work on those. I'll get the camera in so you can see a little bit closer, but it's not far off now. Let's have a look. So I've just started to rub it down, and as you can see, there's a slight line there. I don't want to try and sort of get it out with polishing, so I'm going to get it flat, so I'm really happy with it. And round here, so you can just see, just by taking off, there's a slight line there. Oh, slight, just as you can see, there's a slight line there too. And by rubbing across it, just want to take that out, but it's not looking too bad. I've got to take off all the overspray as well, and I'm using 2,500 wet and dry. So hopefully, maybe fingers crossed, one more rub down wet and dry, one more spray, and provided just lose those two very faint lines, that'll be it, and I can start cleaning it up and polishing it. I've rubbed this down for probably a couple of hours now with 2,500 wet and dry, and looks good, very matte, and I've feathered in the edges, although I have got a slight line which I don't want to go too deep. Obviously I don't want to take off the existing lacquer too much. So now I've just sprayed it with a bit of water, put a little bit of teacup on a polishing, I don't know what you call it, polishing buffer, wheel, whatever. See how it goes. This is the coarsest of the wheels, and they gradually go down in a number of peaks and troughs, and also the granularity, I guess, of the foam, until you get this one, which is a very soft foam and has got a lot more dimples, peaks, troughs, whatever. So I'll take a little while doing this and see how it comes out. If it doesn't, I can always spray another bit of clear coat on. Finally, a little bit warmer. Paint on the tank. Sanded it down again using 2,500 wet and dry. Looking good. Got rid of all of the lines and the edges. Buffed it using a drill attachment for and teacup. The paintwork's come up really good. The clear coat that I did, starting to lose patience now. How long does this? I think this is 3 weeks and it's still not hardened, and as I'm using the buffer, it's starting to just grab and pick up a bit, like it's not hard. Yeah, I did hear someone on YouTube saying it takes up to 30 days or something to harden off. Who's got 30 days? I'd say, I'm really losing patience. Also, because I masked off what I thought was the bike and I've forgotten to do the front end, so it's now covered in dots of teacup, which you can't see when you're doing it because they're kind of wet and spraying around like a bit of mist. But even more annoying, let's just get this. Even more annoying. I thought I'd just do that tank, and I didn't. I don't know if you can see that. I didn't move the seat, which wasn't on the bike. It was down on the floor somewhere, not that close. But what a mess! So now I'm hoping that that's all going to wash off, and it's not bleaching in any way. I feel a wrap coming on. Which was always the sort of fallback plan anyway, but it's a shame because the black, shiny black paint does look kind of nice, but and it looks an awful lot better without the logo, but this feels like one step forward, 2 steps back. So this time I've completely masked up the tank, seat, clocks, the whole bike, and I rubbed down again with 2,500 wet and dry just to get the marks off, the pickup, if you like, that the drill and buffers were having on the new clear coat. So it's becoming a bit of a marathon job. But so it's all now very smooth, there's no lines, and it's really still not hard enough to polish. And I think I can see this because I polished the tank with T-cut and buffing pads, and that's got rid of all of the minute scratches from the wet and dry. When I have rubbed down the old paint, it goes very matte, very smooth, very matte. But I don't know whether you can see it here, and I'll show you in a second. Where I've put the new clear coat on, it's still remaining slightly shiny because it's not dry and you can't polish it. So I'm just going to leave that until it's a bit annoying, but I've got other things to do, so I'll leave that until the very last job, and hopefully then it will sand nice and smooth, and I can see that because it'll go the same way as the old paint, and then I'll try and polish it up. In some ways, I kind of like the constructive stuff. I like messing around with things like wrap, paint and stuff like that. So I'm itching to do some designs on the tank, but I can't really do that because I'm thinking of leaving a gloss black panel down the middle, not very wide, but nonetheless down the middle. And at the moment, there'll be a sort of shiny, matte, semi-shiny, matte stripe down the middle, which will look rubbish. So other than just wrapping the whole thing, which I could do and I might still do, I'm going to leave that till the very last. So that's it for this episode on the tank, and the same goes really for the side panels and engine cowlings. That I think I'll get it on the road, and I want to get another MOT, so it's got another year of messing around without having to worry about then taking it back out on the road without an MOT to get one, and then ride it for the summer. Cool.